Hey guys, Level Gap here, and welcome to Devlog number 45 for C-Beams, a spaceship action RPG that I've been making with my buddy Rich and a small development team for a little over 18 months now. We just crossed the 18-month mark since last Devlog, and I am so excited to show you some of the stuff we're working on. We of course have some brand new spaceships, which are some of my favorite things to show off. We've got a brand new engine upgrade. We are now on Unreal Engine 5.6, which is the same engine that Epic demoed The Witcher 4 on, showcasing all kinds of new tech. So we have access to a lot of that tech now. We have a new dynamic camera system in the works, and we've begun laying the foundation for world building, which is going to tie our missions, worlds, spawners, everything in the game together. It's a huge undertaking and a lot of logic, and I can at least talk a little bit about that today. If you guys are interested in C-Beams, don't forget to wishlist us on Steam. If you want to follow the project a little more closely or give us suggestions, check out our Discord, which is also linked in the video description. And why don't we begin by checking out some of the new spaceships, one of my favorites. So just to remind you of our workflow, we start off with concept art. This concept here is from Kruger. It is for a size 2 scout ship. I'll take his concept art and kind of block it out to make sure that it fits all the weapons and modules that we need it to in game. Then I'll send that white box back to Kruger and he'll do a more detailed concept with it, rendering out both the details and usually playing around with some paint schemes and decals and stuff like that. Then I'll send both the blockout and concept art to Evan, who will go over it and add in all the cool details that Kruger has drawn on. And once that's done, I will complete the UV unwrap process for the ship, get it into Substance Painter, and put some materials and decals onto it. Then build out all the profiles and logic using Rich's spaceship system that we've built in Unreal Engine 5, and I can more or less get it up and flying. This ship here fits an important size 2 scout craft role, which will be an interesting role for the enemy navy in our game, in that right now I have 2 main turrets on it, but probably going to swap out the back turret for a local grav beacon, allowing it to basically call in reinforcements. This will be the quote-unquote summoner ship that you might run into during combat, and you want to deal with it quickly so it doesn't keep calling in reinforcements. You can see it scaled next to a big size 6 battleship or this size 3 missile frigate over here, and we can even pull up next to this other new size 1 combat ship. Once again, we have some rough concept art from Kruger. I gave him the assignment to create a size 1 gunboat for the enemy fleet that looked kind of rough and tumble, and I really liked his more asymmetrical design, so we stuck with this. After doing a rough blockout, he came back with a nice detailed render and some cool paint for us. Once again, Evan took over the primary modeling and I handled the UV unwrap, texturing, and decal work. And I think this ship turned out really nice. It's kind of got an oversized turret for its size, but I really like the idea of playing around with giving our size 1 combat ships sort of the maximum possible firepower. And despite its smaller size, this guy comes with 2 size 1 weapon mounts, which will be great for shooting down incoming missiles or dealing with small craft threats. And then of course we have the size 2 inertial cannon for dealing with the medium or even larger craft, as this ship will often not be flying on its own. It'll be flanked by fighters or other versions of itself in packs. Now next up we have another size 1 ship, but this time for our good guys, the Atlas fleet. This original concept here was from Island for an actual fighter size ship, and I like the shape of it. I had Kruger do a rendition of it, and I took that rendition and made quite a few changes in Blender, creating a slightly different block out, tossed it back over to Kruger for the final render of it. Once again, we had Evan do the modeling, and I did the unwrap material work and decal work, and now we've got one of my favorite ships to fly in the game right now. This thing is meant to be fast. It's basically a size 1 interceptor reconnaissance ship for our Atlas Navy. Its coolest weapon is not yet integrated, but it's actually got a spinal mounted railgun on it, so it can engage ships at close range and long range with some pretty darn good firepower. You can see it next to the Acheron, which is a size 4 destroyer, giving you a nice little comparison between the size, but also not necessarily implying that a size 1 couldn't ever take on a size 4 in the right circumstances. Ships like this that are designed specifically for combat or naval combat are going to be a little harder to come by. You're going to have to develop the right kind of reputation. But once you get one, I think they're going to be solid mission runners for any sort of combat related mission. All right, let's move on to a feature that I am really excited about. Last week, I showed off a very early prototype of our dynamic camera system where it would frame the asteroid that we were mining with the spaceship so that everything would be on screen at the same time. It was a very early sneak peek of the system. This time we have a bit more features. A huge shout out to Mr. Meteor, who's been working tirelessly on this system. He also developed our physics movement system for ships in the game and a bunch of other stuff. So we've replaced the previous camera code pretty much completely. Now when I zoom in, it actually applies a little post-processing effect where the camera kind of refocuses, and you'll notice the camera will automatically zoom in here as we get close to an airlock. This is our new airlock docking cam, and this is going to allow you to align your ship with much more detail on screen, and it's fully automated, and we can integrate any kind of logic and functionality into the game around automated camera systems that we want. The capabilities of this system that Mr. Meteor has built in is going to allow for all kinds of things, especially if we want to switch to cinematic cameras at any point for some more effective narrative storytelling. But one of my favorite new features that he just added in, just got it working for this devlog, is framing a targeted ship. Now when we're chasing down a ship or in combat with any other ship, the camera will now attempt to frame the player ship and the targeted ship, which gives you so much more view range for close quarter combat. Before, the player ship would be centered in the screen and a lot of your shots would just be flying off screen, and you would have to rely on your little picture-in-picture viewport to see if you're hitting the enemy. And while that's still necessary for long-range combat, now with close-range combat, it's making full use of your screen space. So chasing down a ship or fighting a ship at close to almost medium range, you can still see them on your screen. You can see if your bullets are missing or how the enemy ship might be dodging them. It just changes the feeling so much. It's actually really fun trying to pursue this ship right now because I have to do a full burn to keep up with them, and I can see them on screen much more easily, see where their momentum is shifting to, and try and anticipate their movements a bit better. This actually changes up the gameplay in a really significant way. As soon as we got this working, I messaged the guys and said that this is a game changer. Like, it really does change up how much fun close range combat is. All right, in the intro, I talked about how we upgraded engine versions. We were on Unreal Engine 5.4, and we upgraded to 5.6. I should mention that we did get 5.5 working and then just decided to go for 5.6 after that. There's a bunch of tech in 5.6 that we really wanted to leverage for our next world building systems in the game, and so it just sort of made sense for us to do the upgrade now, and then I think we're going to stick with 5.6 probably until launch. Now Rich, the tech lead on the project, has been very busy connecting and building a whole bunch of foundational systems. These will kind of be the last major tech pillars that we need for the game, but they're important ones. There's procedural mission generation, procedural level generation, star map integration, and all of the systems interconnected with that, which are a lot. He's made a huge amount of progress, but not a lot of it is visually impressive, so it's hard to talk about it in a devlog format that feels interesting enough, and I think I'm going to hold off on more of those details until we have a little bit more to show for it. But just know that Rich has been making some huge progress on foundational systems that hopefully I will be able to show off soon. Now, Will, our VFX artist, has been going over some visual styles for our recoilless cannons. I almost didn't want to show this because I think we're going to make some changes to it, but in the nature of devlogs and showing work in progress systems, this is sort of the ballpark of what we're going for with some of these big inertial cannons. World War II battleship cannons in space. The idea is that these recoilless cannons have backblast compensation so that the turrets don't actually affect the trajectory of the spaceship when firing. Cool concept, and we're just dialing in the VFX. I think they're are a little too big and intense at the moment with some other details that need to be tweaked. But anyway, just a little quick preview of that. One of the bigger projects that we're ramping up for is a complete overhaul of Rook Station, which is this big asteroid base here. I designed this fairly early on in the project because I wanted to prove the concept, but since I designed it, we've kind of learned a lot about asset pipelines and building things efficiently in game, and this station needs a big overhaul. In fact, we got a lot of good feedback from the devlogs about the station interior just not feeling scaled properly. So we're doing a big model update to the interior details and a big material overhaul. And I'll be working on this a lot with Evan, who's going to take over some of the primary detail modeling on the project. So this has been a glimpse into what we've been working on with C-beams. We're at the very beginning of some bigger systems that I'm excited to show off more in the next devlogs. There's been a lot of upfront work to get these systems working, which doesn't translate into a lot of visual cool stuff that we can show off in the devlog, but it should hopefully in the near future. Now, if you guys are interested in more C-beams related content, of course, wishlist the game. There's a link for that down in the video description, and check out our Discord, which is also linked below. And then at the end of the video, I've got links to other devlogs here, including some of the way back ones where we first just concepted the game and started learning Unreal Engine. Of course, thank you all so much for dropping by and checking out our devlogs. We appreciate it massively, and we'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.